stands out when you watch Bradley?
I think they're very similar to us right now. We're both looking for a win. Both teams come in here with a little bit of shattered confidence, and I think it's got all the makings of a really good game because both teams come in here with our backs up against the wall. So it's, you know, to me, I've always said I think Brown's one of the best players in the league. He's just good. You know, you got to pay attention at him whether it's in half court, transition. I really like Childs. I watched Childs play as a high school player. I think he's really good. Anytime you get a left-handed big man, I think those guys give you problems. And then Ogunjule has always played well. And then you talk about Cannell and Luke Van Bree. Those guys can really shoot the basketball. And Koch can block shots. So, I mean, we're going to have to really play well to beat these guys.
How often during the year do you coaches communicate with each other? I was going to ask.
That's a really good question. You know, rarely do we talk. There may be a couple of guys in the league that I'll talk to somebody about how would you guard this, how would you guard that. But most guys are pretty reserved. We don't cross our lanes when it comes to that. I've been very fortunate in the 16 years I've been in this league. There's never been a coach, never, that I've not gotten along with. Even the crusty old fart, you know, Royce. I mean, he was one of my favorite guys of all time. But rarely do we talk strategy. Now, we communicate because when these guys win, especially non-conference, if these guys win big games non-conference, I text all of them every night. That'd be me 1 or 30 in the morning. Lansing texts me all the time, but it's always something funny. I mean, he's always gigging me with something, and you know, he sent me a picture the other day of just a funny picture and a funny caption. So Lansing's one of those guys that does that. And Dan Muller, I just think the world of Dan Muller. Dan Muller and I talked during the game. I don't know if y'all saw us the other night. We were talking during the game. We were like, wow, you know, because we always know when a great game's being played. But it's strategy-wise. Now the guys that talk are the assistants. They're all talking. They're all talking, and they're talking back and forth, scout-wise, all that. But most of the time, the head coaches don't do that.
Did somebody like not Lansing, but Muller and the Bradley coach call and say, "Why do we play like this sometimes?" You know what I mean? As far as the intensity and turning it on and off and stuff.
No, I wouldn't say that. Rarely are we going to talk about our teams to each other. You know, it's still poker. Sorry, you still got to hold things close to your vest. And I've been in this business long enough. I should be a psychologist. I can read guys what they say. Now, I will say this. I talk to a lot of coaches. I talk to coaches. I've got a couple of guys that I talk to often during the season, especially about my team and issues that I feel like we're having. I run things by them. They're kind of my counter guys. I throw stuff off, see if it sticks, these or that. And I've got a couple of guys in my coaching lives that I really trust their opinion. I'll see another coach play. I watched Mick Cronin's team play the other night. I text Mick after the Cincinnati game. I text Frank the other night after the handshake between him and Hurley at Tulsa and UConn. I told him I promise I'll be nicer on our next handshake. So, you know, I jab these guys. I text Danny Manning the other night when they won against North Carolina State. And I talked to Coach Self and I talked to Jankovic a lot.
Yeah, you know, Brown takes a lot of their offensive, you know, responsibility. They have struggled to get the other guys involved. You know, how do you keep that going, so to speak, and not let these other guys beat you on Sunday?
Well, Todd, one of the things that I think we, for the most part, with the exception of John Moran or whatever, how we pronounce it, we've always done a decent job on the other team's best player. You're right. You know, those other guys, when they take off the slack, it makes it a lot harder. Anybody's, especially in conference play, you know how it is. Everybody goes after the best player. You look at how people are guarding us right now. If Kavion touches ball, there's 3 guys around him because he's consistently the guy that everybody's worried about. You can see how you watch on Sunday how people run at Marcus Bartley now. When he catches the ball, they're all going to start running at him. The same thing with Armand. They're going to start running at him. I think you'll see people start to guard us differently now. The more what's the word I'm looking for here? The more sample size you get in conference basketball, because here's the stats for Bradley. So I don't even look at overall stats now. I don't look at the non-conference stats, and I don't look at overall. All I look at when I get to the 5-game mark, all I worry about is conference stats. I don't look at any of that other stuff, because there'll be guys in non-conference that really shot the ball well or this or that, but they're not shooting the ball well in conference play. Well, what that goes, people in non-conference don't know you as well as we know you, and everybody in the league knows what everybody does. I mean, I can't make a play call, not one play call, that the head coach or the other team's not yelling out what we're going to do. And you know what? We do the same thing. I mean, Valpo's calling out of bounds plays the other night, and we're yelling at our guys, telling them exactly what they're getting ready to run. So it's just, that's why college conference basketball is so tough.
How has Aaron tried to adjust to Armand's taken some of his shots, obviously for a good reason, but how has he tried to, or how have you tried to help him adjust to being a scoring point guard and being a point guard first, so to speak?
Well, I think anytime somebody comes back, everybody's, where am I going to get to play? How many more minutes? Am I still going to get, chemistry is such a big factor. And everybody goes, well, Armand's back. You've lost 3 games in a row. What's the deal? Well, there's a time period in there where you, substitution pattern, chemistry. I thought the other night, with the exception, we played Armand way too many minutes. We can't play in 39 minutes. We just can't do that. And but I thought our substitution rotation the other night, our pattern, I was extremely comfortable. The flow of the game, how our guys responded. We had a screw up to start the game. We weren't starting Marcus. We were going to start Eric McGill, and there was a mess up with the score table. So I'm not going into it, but Eric handled that great. And I told Eric, I mean that's why Marcus didn't run out there. He was sitting over there in the line. And Eric's like, we didn't know who they were going to call out a name. So I just looked at Eric and he said, I'm fine, Coach, don't worry about it. So that was a big plus for us. Another thing that helped us the other night, Todd, that was really impressive was Teague's letting us know when he's tired now, instead of playing when he's tired. That's extremely unselfish. I like that. And I think you guys can see Teague Bowe's starting to play now. He's starting to get a little bit more confident. And we are, I'm still encouraged. I still have great feelings about this team, but we need a win. We need a win. We need a win really bad.
And I agree with you. There is an adjustment period, but Armand's been practicing with you, and obviously he's played here.
He hasn't practiced with the first squad. Yes, okay. We never let him practice with the first squad. Okay. We never let him do that, and that's a philosophy. But he, in my opinion, he didn't deserve to be with the first squad. He never practiced with the first squad. The only time he practiced with the first squad was the day after Northern Iowa, and we never had him on the first squad. So that was part of all that stuff that we did disciplinary-wise.
Has McGill's role changed a bit since Fletcher is in the lineup with him? He's getting, people say, well, why did McGill get this many points? Well, he doesn't, Fletcher takes some of the shots he might have taken.
All their roles have changed, Mark. Everybody's role has changed. And there's an adjustment period. And we live in a society that wants everything right now, including the head coach. I'm the same way. We want it now. We want it now. And it just doesn't work that way. And when guys come back, there's a time period where there's an adjustment and everybody else. And I'm not used to that. It's just a fact. That's the way it is. I wish we'd have played it. The reason, Armand's got nothing to do with how many times we've been turning the ball over. That's our problem. That's our problem. We had 24 possessions in the first half the other night. 24. And we had 38 possessions and 14 of them were turnovers. I mean, we can't do that. They scored 22 points off our turnovers and we get beat by 1 point. I mean, we can't do that. We can't shoot free throws like we did the other night. We can't go 50%. We can't go 0 for 2 on a technical. We just can't do that. And we can't turn the ball over. Even the second half, we only had 4 turnovers, but 2 turnovers that we had led to baskets on the other end, and we get beat by 1. I mean, we just can't have that.
With your team being such a veteran squad, though, I mean, you've said it a couple times this year with guys coming back from injury, everybody's worried about minutes, but does that show maybe a lack of maturity on their part?
Well, I think we're all immature. I'm still immature. I'm 58, and I'm still immature. I think that's hard. I just think it's hard. Everybody wants to play. I'll give you a great example. We said this the other day, and we were saying it jokingly. Eric McGill could play 39 minutes and 45 seconds. If we subbed him for 15 seconds, Eric McGill's going to be upset. Not because he's selfish, because Eric McGill wants to play all the time. He's so competitive. He wants to play all the time. Nobody likes to be subbed for. And that's what we got back. We've talked to our guys. We talked about the unselfish act that Teak had the other night was just outstanding, because that lets us know we could get guys in there. And the rule's always been, if you ask for a sub, all you have to do is let me know when you're ready, and we're going to put you back in. If I have to sub for you, then it's on us when we put you back in. And I just think that's a great way to do it with young men these days.
Coach, taking the long view, and I'm not asking a dissection of the last play of the game. Taking the long view, with your group of upperclassmen and backcourt people, I expected your squad to win games like the game in Illinois State. Why did that happen?
Pretty simple. We turned it over. And we just turned it over. We made a mistake. And, you know, the thing I told our guys over and over this week, and I told them on the bus ride back, we got to learn from these. And we got to learn the value of the possession of basketball. And everybody wants to talk about the last play.
I'm not asking about that.
Yeah. The 17 turnovers prior to that were huge. Absolutely huge. Huge. And that's the one thing that we have tried to get over with our players over and over and over. The first turnover is just as important as this last turnover of the game. And we had the first possession of the game. We win the tip, and we go down and throw a bounce pass that ends up hitting KP right up here in his chest area. And it's just like, he can't catch that pass. So right now, we have got to figure out the value of the basketball. And right now, we haven't done that. And hopefully we'll start doing that on Sunday. And I think when we do, I think you'll see a completely different ball club.